All right. Hello, hello. We are live here with the Techstars Future of Longevity virtual meet and greet. All right. Just a little bit of a crowdcast intro here. So I'm just going to encourage you all to use the Ask a Question button at the bottom, right in the middle there, if you have a question, just so we can keep all the questions in one place rather than putting them in the chat. But do put in the chat what company you're with and what problem you're solving, or your favorite startup and why. So we would love to hear from you. What you're doing, get to know you. Excellent. I can see the chat is already very active. Okay, and we're going to dive right in. So I am so delighted today to be with you. My name is Sarah Hippert. I'm the program manager for the Techstars Future of Longevity Accelerator, and I'm delighted to be joined with Keith Cammey today, our managing director, and our wonderful liaison, Lara Jaremko, consultant and partner liaison with Pivotal Ventures. So I'll go through here what our agenda is for today. So we are going to start off with an overview of the Accelerator. And Keith is going to do that. So we're going to spend about 20 to 25 minutes going over some background information. Keith will give you a high-level overview of the Techstars Accelerator in general. And then he'll pass it to Lara, who will share some background on Pivotal Ventures and their motivation for partnering with us. Keith will then go through some specifics that make the Future of Longevity program unique and extraordinary. And then I'll review some logistics, including the application process, some key dates, where to find additional information. And then finally, we'll have some time for questions. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Keith for his why.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah, and welcome, everyone. It's great to have you with us here today. And to kick this off, let me start with my why, which I think is a helpful startup thing to do in general. But first, my why for the longevity program in particular, and then on Techstars more broadly. But for longevity, my why is that, this is kind of personal for me. My wife and I have experienced and are experiencing all the challenges that this program is addressing firsthand as caregivers for our own aging parents. And having built a venture-backed company that serves older adults myself, I'm looking forward to supporting great entrepreneurs who are trying to build the next wave of solutions that we're all going to need one day, and some of us right now. And so that's what compelled me when this program ramped up to want to get actively involved. And then second, backing up even more broadly than that to my why for being at Techstars in general. And I mentioned this since it might serve as a little bit of an endorsement for Techstars for those of you thinking about working with us. And for context, I should explain, I've been an entrepreneur really my entire career. And before joining Techstars a few years ago, the last time I'd gotten a paycheck from a company other than one that I had started myself was back in the mid-90s, to date myself and my entrepreneurial journey a little bit. But and folks who've known me over the last couple of decades would probably tell you that as an entrepreneur through and through, it was kind of non-obvious that I was ever going to sign up to be part of someone else's company again. But ultimately, I was inspired to join Techstars because the mission just resonates so thoroughly with me, and the platform to deliver on that mission is just extraordinary, unmatched. Let me tell you a little bit about both of those and go into kind of the Techstars story here. And Sarah, I think you are the slide. Am I advancing, or you got them? Okay, great. So simply put, the Techstars mission is to help entrepreneurs succeed, and we do it. We all show up every day to do that because we believe entrepreneurs can change the world. And entrepreneurs are the crazy people who answer the calling to make a difference by creating something that the world needs or fixing something that's broken. And the impact of a successful startup can really be enormous for all of us, especially when you think of the sorts of problems we're looking to solve with this program in the future of longevity. But starting a company is hard and risky. Entrepreneurs work long hours for little pay, and there are a lot more ways to fail than succeed. And so, with that in mind, a little bit of history. Um, Techstars was started as an experiment back in Boulder, Colorado, about 15 years ago with a simple idea. And the idea was that even though every startup is different, by surrounding founders with a collection of experienced mentors who've been through the journey before and subject matter experts who have deep knowledge of the startups industry, they might be able to help founders avoid some of the more common mistakes that we all made along the way, so they can chart a faster path and a better path at the earlier stages and have a higher success rate as a result. So the founders of Techstars got 10 companies, 100 of their closest friends together to mentor them for 3 months and to see if the idea of leveraging a network of highly experienced people could help companies accelerate their work and try to accomplish in a few months what typically takes us a couple of years to do through trial and error independently. And that was, that in a nutshell was the big idea. And as you might have guessed, the experiment did in fact work. And some stats on that are the modest pilot that started in Boulder has now been repeated about 260 times. And you can advance to the next one, but over 2,500 companies have been through versions of the program. They've raised over $14 billion in funding and have a combined market cap of over $40 billion. And I love the last two stats in particular because they show that in addition to loving the companies that we support and us loving them, the investors are voting with their checkbooks to say that these companies are creating real value. The first raise for companies coming out of a program is about $1 million, and 291 of them have already gone on to successful exits, and 13 of them being unicorns to date. Based on all of that, it's probably not much of a surprise that Techstars has emerged as the #1 investor by volume in the world, according to Crunchbase. While a lot of what was created 15 years ago back in Boulder is still core to the Accelerator experience at a local level today, one thing that's dramatically different today is the scope and impact of the global network. And that's what's displayed on this slide here. With 44 programs a year, over 6,000 alumni founders, over 17,000 investors, over 7,000 mentors engaged in the network, plus 1,500 community programs run annually around the world, over 100 corporate innovation partners who are looking to work with startups. This is just an unrivaled platform for entrepreneurs to succeed. And it's a big part of why I joined. Is that I wished I had this when I had started my couple companies. And to go a step further than that, and again, validating Techstars as the outsider who joined a company again for the first time decades later, as an experienced entrepreneur now who kind of knows how to start a company, if I ever started another one, I'd want to take it through a Techstars program myself, because the access to the curated mentors, the prospective investors, pilot partners, alumni, and so on is just so valuable to accelerating those early stages. So let me tell you a little bit about the program, and broadly, this applies to all Techstars programs in general, but each year we take in 10 companies per program and provide them with an intensive 3-month acceleration. We try to help them make 2 years worth of progress in about 13 weeks through mistake avoidance and getting access to curated people who can help. The program breaks down into 3 rough phases. First, we connect founders with really smart people in the first month to help them see around corners and find blind spots and opportunities. And we help founders learn how to distill a lot of feedback really quickly. In the second month, we help everyone build back up and get traction in things that might have been a pivot of their business, whether it be product development, customer acquisition, partners, and so on. And then month 3 is focused on the storytelling and fundraising, pitch practicing, and fundraising strategy or partner strategy that goes along with their next steps. Every week in program is going to be a little different, but some common elements of what to expect would include, office hours with mentors and experts in the field, one-on-ones with the managing director, all hands meetings with all the peer companies to share key performance indicators and mutual accountability in sort of a forum structure, founder stories from serial entrepreneurs who come in weekly and share their story of their, the behind the scenes story, not just the glossy press, ready for press story of what it's like to go through the ups and downs of a startup. Pitch practicing and telling your story, workshops with experts in the field or experts in different aspects of building and launching a startup, and then tons of work to build your solution. And there's a lot more information on all of this on our website, and we're happy to take questions on it at the end. But I think what we should do now is move from Techstars generally to this program in particular. And the Techstars Future Longevity Program is based in Washington, D.C., and it's focused on innovative solutions to address the unmet needs of older adults and their caregivers. And to kick off this part of it, let me introduce Laura, our wonderful liaison for Pivotal Ventures, to share a little background about their inspiration for partnering with us on the program.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keith. And so great to see you all in the chat and hear a little bit about what you're all working on. It's very exciting. So yeah, I would like to give some context and background on Pivotal Ventures. So Melinda French Gates started Pivotal in 2015 as an investment and incubation company to advance social progress in the United States through investment, partnership, and advocacy. And as part of this mission, Pivotal supports the development of new and better solutions for America's caregivers. And we believe that creating a care system that works for both providers and the recipients and their families is key to accelerating women's power and influence in society and strengthening the well-being of families. So at Pivotal, we view innovation in the caregiving space as a huge market opportunity. We believe that by unlocking new markets, developing new products, and designing solutions for families, we're headed toward a future where women are no longer the de facto caregivers for their families. Everyone has access to the quality care solutions that they want and need, and that care is a source of comfort and joy rather than stress and sacrifice. So we'll be speaking more about our involvement in the Q&A, but we're thrilled to be partnering with Techstars. We have one accelerator under our belt, and we were so pleased with the companies that we were able to support last year, and very excited for this upcoming class. So with that brief intro, I'll kick it back to you, Keith.
All right, cool. Thanks, Laura. And yeah, please, send in questions for Pivotal or me, and Sarah will be curating those for us at the end. So talking about the longevity space and the opportunity for founders to create solutions here, I'll give you a couple clips and stats, but this will frankly be probably preaching in the choir to anyone who's joining us for this call. But some inspiration behind the program theme and some of my inspiration for this. But the market for serving older adults and their caregivers is simply enormous, right? And it's and in its enormity, it's also shockingly underserved. So for anyone who's looked for solutions themselves to the problems that we're looking to address here, they're hard to find. For people who are in search of the solutions, that's a problem. And for entrepreneurs, though, that spells opportunity, right? And so those who want to focus on these markets, there's a great opportunity to build a company in many areas, and we'll go into some of our program themes in a bit. Let me give you some figures, though, as more inspiration, if more is needed, on longevity and caregiving and the market. why serve an aging population? Well, there's 10,000 people turning 65 every day. 90% of them want to age in place, according to AARP studies, and we're not doing a very good job supporting that. 1 in 5 Americans will be over 65 by 2030, and it's now expected that babies born in 2007 are going to live over 100 years, and so the challenges will just keep expanding. And why caregiving in particular? This is fascinating. And in fact, if you haven't had a chance to read Melinda French Gates's book, there's a whole chapter on this. It's really kind of great inspiration behind it. But there are over 50 million unpaid caregivers in the U.S. right now. They provide tens of billions of hours of care annually. And the amazing thing here, and she cites a bunch of stats on it, but if you accounted for that at its market rate, it would be one of the largest sectors in the economy. But instead, it just kind of goes overlooked because we take it as free. And so while caregiving on the one hand is an act of love and compassion, our broken infrastructure for care and caregivers results in this extraordinary financial burden, emotional distress, career disruption, and all of that, again, as a backer of entrepreneurs, I'd say massive challenges give rise to massive opportunities for entrepreneurs to build creative solutions. And with that, there's a market with massive spending power against this. One great stat from AARP, 56 cents of every dollar is spent by people age 50 and above already today, and that's only increasing. 54% of the wealth is controlled by the boomers. The senior care market itself is already over $700 billion. And we're expecting to have 72 million people age 65 and above by the end of the decade. So big opportunity. And let me tell you a little bit about our program themes. We're focused in general on companies that have innovative solutions to address the unmet needs of older adults and their caregivers. That's our umbrella theme. Within that, we have half a dozen theme headings, which are aging in place, care coordination, caregiver support, financial wellness, preventive health, social engagement, there's many more sub-themes under that. I'm happy to take questions about it, but they're also available on our website. If you go to the 5 questions document, there's sub-themes underneath it. But at a high level, if your solutions are for older adults and the people who take care of them, we're interested in you. So that's the backdrop. And a little more background on the program. We're going to be based in Washington, D.C. We picked D.C. For many reasons. It's a vibrant startup hub ready to support startups in just about any category. And then in particular, there's a great market for talent availability. It's number 1 for women in tech, which we expect to be an important demographic of our founders in this program, because people solve the problems that they're observing themselves. And it's obviously the hub of policy in the U.S., so access to the policymakers and great minds in the area. A little bit about what we look for those who are looking to apply. We break it down into 6 things, the first 3 of which are team. And that's and we found that throughout our history, and that goes back to the founding of the Techstars back in Boulder years and years ago. And we find that an early stage company success is overwhelmingly driven by the team themselves. I look for entrepreneurs who are creative and strong executors. They're resilient. They're passionately motivated to solve the problems they're trying to address. And part of it, is that companies at this stage pivot and change so much that betting on a particular idea and market it's likely to change over the course of time. So it's more about the team at this stage. So definitely we'll want to hear about who you all are, what is motivating you to do whatever you're working on, and what kind of founder market problem fit you have for working on it. Next, we're looking for big markets. It's hard to get any startup to succeed, so you might as well work on something that can have a big impact when it does. And then we're looking for some progress, some traction. It doesn't necessarily have to be big numbers of sales, although that's nice, but some validation that you have some core assumptions that are working, a prototype or test product. And then finally, the idea itself, right? So we have that last on our list, not because it's not important, but just because it's the least important because it's likely to change at these early stages of a company. And then what we offer and provide as Techstars, the deal is that we make a equity investment in your business, and Techstars gets a 6% common stake in companies that go through our program. In exchange, the companies get the 3-month accelerator program itself, including $20,000 for expenses and incidentals that come as part of participating in the program. You get access to an optional $100,000 convertible note to kick off your next round, free office space during the program, which we hope to be in person, depending on the situation with COVID, access to hundreds of perks worth millions of dollars, a global network, and then I think the last ones are the most important, even though they're intangibles, is Techstars really becomes a co-founder of your business with you. We're bringing to bear our entire network, and that goes beyond this current business, but Techstars network is for life, and we take that very seriously. And finally, if we should fail in delivering all this to you, we also provide an equity-backed guarantee as part of that. The perks, which are detailed more on our website, that you get include hundreds of companies provide perks to our startups that have a market value of over $5 million, of everything from web hosting to legal support to and so on. And then finally, and I think the most important perk of all, and it's again an intangible, is the Techstars network for life. It is I can't overstate how valuable it is to be surrounded. And again, as a founder, I would want this myself in any startup I did in the past and certainly in the future. But being surrounded by a network of people who've been through the drill and are connected into startup world for investors, pilots, and so on is just invaluable for your journey. And so with that, I'm going to pass along to Sarah to go over some of the logistics of the program, and then we'll open up to questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Keith. So applications are open now. I'm going to drop the link in the chat to apply. We do encourage you to not wait until the last minute to apply. So if you're thinking about applying, just get in there and start your application, and just, gives you time because our deadline is not until July 28th. So applications review and interviews of top candidates will take place in August and early September. Selected companies will be notified in late September. And our program will run through early November, November 8th, to the second week of February. The week of February 14th will be our demo day. Application process. So the ways that you can connect with us here is through coming to this AMA and meet and greet. So thank you for joining us today. If you also want to request office hours with us, we do have limited numbers of spots, but I'll also drop in the chat the link to request an office hour with a member of our team. We want you to apply, so please apply. Like I said, apps are open now, and they're open until July 28th, but start them early. And then finally, interview and screening. I'm going to drop a link in the chat that's going to give you a little bit more information about that, the interview and screening process. And without further ado, let's just move one more little piece of information I have for you here. So just how to use our website. So on our website, we do have the apply button on our landing page, as well as the link for office hours. You can see right there. We have all the major dates. So when apps open, when they close, the start date, and demo day. And then here is also a couple more links inside an Accelerator. That's where you'll learn a little bit more about the process and how Techstars accelerators run. The FAQs are actually gold. I would take a look through there and just get all your questions answered looking there. And then we have Keith's 5 questions blog post is also on our landing page, in addition to more information below, press, some mentors, and so on. So do check out our landing page. Now, without further ado, we're going to move into the questions. So I think I've already asked you to post your questions and using the Ask a Question button. That way, we will be able to keep track of them. So I'm going to just stop sharing my screen right here, and then we're going to dive right into the questions. Oops. Okay. To hover. I'm just going to pop into the first question, and then we will, I'll stop sharing my screen. Let's see. Okay, so this question is about fundraising. So, and it's from Max, who's one of our mentors. So one of the few concerns from the previous class was that they had a tough time raising funds at demo day because there weren't enough longevity investors in the network. How are you addressing this for the upcoming class?
Yeah, great question. Thanks. So two things about that. One is longevity. It's interesting, right? It's such a big space, and a lot of people are talking about investing in the category, and a lot of people touch it, but it's not, it's not directly like a tag in Crunchbase where you go like, let me find the longevity investors, right? And so it's indirect as to who's interested in the category. And so one thing we're doing now that I'm already working towards is Techstars tracks an active database of thousands of investors who've touched our companies over time, and we're sort of reverse engineering who might have interest in the category and companies that come through. And it won't be that they'll necessarily be broadly interested in every company that comes through as a longevity investor. There's handfuls of organizations that consider themselves that, but they'll be vertically interested in different types. And so we're starting to tag everyone who's got interest related to different types of companies that might come in, and then we'll get them involved depending on which companies actually get in. So we'll have some more curation of that. And then in addition, I think part of it as well is not just the surrounding the company with the program with the investors, but it's also the readiness to seek investment that gets created during the program. And I think we'll be moving upstream in the program to create that readiness by demo day and pushing more aggressively towards being investor ready by the end of program. Now, many of the companies from last year's program are successfully raising capital right now. I've been in touch with many of them recently. So I think you can see it's working, and it will work even more next year as we surround it with more investors and earlier access. Laura, I don't know if you have anything to add on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything that Keith said. And we've all been at work to engage more investors from the Pivotal network as well. And, honestly, like all the players in this industry, we are all trying to move the industry forward together. And that does include crowding in more investors to fund innovations. And that is one of our primary goals at Pivotal. So we're very highly aligned with that. And as Keith said, part of it is making sure we engage the investors who already have a dedicated interest or strategy in it, as well as also branching out to other investors that might have invested in adjacent areas and getting them excited about it. We're also working on some research initiatives at Pivotal to try to really amplify the market opportunity. So that will be rolling out in parallel during applications over the next several months.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. All right. So the next question, assuming no COVID barriers and an in-person format, how much time does a founder need to spend in DC during the 13 weeks?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? So historically, Techstars pre-COVID was a largely in-person program where the opportunity to come spend 13 weeks in program is an extraordinary benefit. Right? Just the bumping into people in the hallways and the peer-to-peer inspiration that happens from that is somewhat unmatched. We've had historically a virtual program called our Anywhere program that's been running for years pre-COVID that would be 3 weeks in person, first, middle, last, and then the rest remote. And obviously for the last year or so, we've been running fully virtually and have learned a lot of tricks for how to make that effective as well. So what we're aspiring to run this program in person with accommodation for founders who just simply can't make that work. I would say that at a minimum to get the value of collaborating with your peers and getting to know people and getting the bonding, you'd want to have that, those sort of several weeks at the beginning, so some time at the middle and some time at the end of in person. And I would say that, leverage being in person with your with the mentors and team as much as you can. So it's less about what you have to do as opposed to what you could benefit from doing, is what I'd say. But we will be, in part because of the challenges that we're trying to address with this program, we expect to attract founders who are seeing those problems and therefore experiencing those problems. So we recognize that relocating for 3 months might not be as feasible, and we want to accommodate that. I will say we also will be operating this one uniquely over the holidays, so we'll have a 2-week break in the middle as well, relative to other programs. Anyone else have anything to add on that?
No, I think that was great, Keith. There was one other question that was in the chat related to this. That was, does the whole team need to come, or just the CEO? That sort of question.
Yeah, so we found that it's typically beneficial to have a couple people here in person, because they're just meetings to, there's work to do, there's meetings to have, there's people to bump into. So I've seen in different programs over time, we've had companies bring half a dozen people in, companies bring just one person. I'd say sweet spot is probably 2 or 3 to get maximum benefit. Maybe the CEO, and then to the extent it's not the same person who's ever leading tech and who's ever leading sales, might be the 3 who are most likely to benefit, sales or business development. So that those would be the ones to focus on coming in person.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next one is a question about the average number of companies that apply. I think this is broadly to Techstars programs.
Yeah, so anywhere from hundreds to thousands, depending on the program. Vertical programs like this won't be as big an application pool as like a New York City horizontal program, but we have a lot of applications for this, slots available. I will say, let me say 2 things about that though. One is we don't release those numbers in part because you get what you measure, and that's not one of the things we want to get. We're not looking to get people applying who having had children going through the college application process. I will say, like, what we don't want to do is have it be a vanity metric that only 2% of people get into whatever, right? Because that doesn't serve anyone well. It starts making folks encourage people to apply who that may not be a good use of their time. And so we don't publish those metrics and we don't manage to them. But it is obviously highly selective to get in and challenging to get in. Great companies do consistently get in. Sometimes it might not be on your first try. It might be that you start getting to know us through office hours and application process this time, and then get in the next time, or to another program that might also be a fit for you. But so I encourage anyone who you think it could be a fit for you to please go ahead and apply. Feel free to apply for office hours with us too if you've got some questions. That's available on the website. So I guess the short answer to it is it's highly selective, but companies with great founders who are persistent can tend to find a way in over time.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Keith. Okay, so the next one is for Lara. What's the average size of an investment check by Pivotal Ventures?
Yeah, so Pivotal's investment strategy is focused on investing in early stage venture funds, such as Magnify Ventures, which recently launched last year. And then the ecosystem building stakeholders, which would include Techstars and another group called Springbank Collective, which we'll be bringing in as mentors to the program. So at this time, Pivotal doesn't have an allocation for direct investments in startups. And we encourage the Accelerator participants to discuss potential interest in investment opportunities directly with the program mentors.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lara. All right. So the next question, Keith, is it expected that companies that are part of Techstars will eventually seek VC funding? And asking about other, if there are other funding strategies.
Yeah. So not necessarily. What's expected is that you're pursuing a rapid growth company, right? So we're not looking for kind of lifestyle companies that you're looking to, own and operate independently for decades on your own, just as your own personal cash flow business, but for companies that eventually will have, rapid growth and, large exit opportunities, right? Because we're an investor in your business as well. That said, there are many ways to go about growing, including bootstrapping and non-dilutive funding. I myself, I've done 2 startups directly myself. One was venture backed, and one was non-dilutive funding. Right, keep it small, own it all is not a bad approach. And we as investors in your business on your common cap table as 6% common holders are much more like co-founders with you and fully aligned on you not being overly diluted if that's what you choose to do. So if you can grow through non-dilutive mechanisms, whether that be grants or customer financing, we love that. Sales, prepaid pilots, other things. We love all those ways to not have to necessarily go the venture route. That said, the majority of companies do come through looking for venture financing and do follow a traditional, venture financing growth path.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Keith. All right. So the next one here, we already answered. Does the entire team need to be here in person, or can some participate virtually? We've already answered that. Helpful to have two. But virtual participation will be an option this year. Okay. Do you have, this is a good one. Do you have competitors in your cohorts? If so, how do you manage that to benefit them all?
Yeah, no. So we would not look to have direct competitors in the cohort. There might be companies that are, and we wouldn't do that, right? So we would not have companies coming in as direct competitors. It wouldn't be helpful because there's so much information sharing going on. That said, we could have companies that are in, similar industries and categories that can help and learn from one another. But we wouldn't be looking to have, folks working on the same solution.
Great. Thank you, Keith. All right. The next one, is the focus women-owned businesses? I'll let either of you take that one.
Well, it's not the direct focus, but it will be an outcome, right? So because founders often solve problems that they're experiencing. Caregiving is disproportionately done by women, and so we expect to see a disproportionate number of women-led companies in this program, which suits me perfectly. And it's so I've been working on diversity and entrepreneurship for a long time, and have brought that into my own startups and have helped bring that to Techstars in my previous role. So this is another reason that I'm excited about partnering with Pivotal on this. So I think last year we had 70% of the CEOs were women-led. We love diverse teams, and and meaning diverse makeup within the team itself can also be valuable. But it's not specifically exclusively women-led. I don't know if you want to say more about Pivotal's involvement. Yeah.
Yeah, Keith articulated it perfectly. So yeah, like our ultimate goal, as I mentioned at the onset, is to advance women's power and influence and strengthen the well-being of families. And so all of these solutions in totality are moving that mission forward. And we're committed to supporting founders of all backgrounds, and also importantly to foster a culture of inclusion and belonging for all the founders that will be in the accelerator. And as Keith said, I think we had really good diverse representation in our class last year, and so I think we would expect to see that again this year.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both of you. Okay, the next question: are companies who have raised more than 1 million also eligible for the program?
Absolutely, yeah. We're stage agnostic at Techstars. We tend to have companies that are are kind of pre-seed or just getting to that pre-seed round. We've had companies that have raised several $1 million go through before to get access to the network. By all means. Our deal for involvement remains the same. So we do come on your cap table as a 6% common participant. So you need to make sure that your investors are aligned with that and understand it. And we think that we provide far more value than that to the process. And again, if I were starting a company, whether I'd raised nothing yet or millions of dollars already, I'd want to go through a program like this because the access is extraordinary. But you can absolutely join after you've raised capital too.
Excellent. All right. The next one, do we expect companies to be incorporated or do we accept LLCs?
So that is a good question. So we're, I don't think I'm going to have to defer that to legal. I believe the answer is that we don't require the flip to occur at the time you.
No, I think we do.
Okay, all right. So it's at the time that they come in we require it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So you can apply as an LLC.
Okay,
Right.
so
You can apply as an
LLC flip at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. All right. The next one: are the mentors primarily business strategists and company leaders or academics involved in science?
Well, it's both. Maybe Laura, do you want to go first and talk about some of the mentors that you all bring to the table here, and then I can talk a little bit about some of the startup mentors we get?
Yeah, absolutely. And the answer to your question is yes, all of them. So thus far, we've activated our network to include venture capital investors, academic researchers, experienced entrepreneurs, designers, subject matter experts, leaders of nonprofits and think tank and advocacy organizations. So it really is, we're truly trying to create that multidisciplinary ecosystem to surround you with. And then, I'm sure you're familiar with the Mentor Madness process, and I saw another question about that. So I'll let Sarah and Keith go into more detail on the mechanics of that. But through the Mentor Madness matching process, you'll be, able to identify which mentors are best suited for your needs, and it's mutual opt-in. So it's very tailored ultimately to your company's stage and what you're looking to achieve. And also, I would say even once you're accepted into the accelerator, we can always try to round out the mentor pool to try to identify some specific expertise that you're looking for if we don't already have it existing in the mentor pool.
Yeah, nothing to add to that. That's exactly it. And so we'll be surrounding with both, as with any program. So we surround with kind of combination of startup experts who've been through the drill before and subject matter experts who can help you with the industry. And we've got plenty of access to both for companies going through this.
Excellent. All right. The next question is sort of how are mentors assigned to a team, and do you work? That question. Oh, here it is. How are mentors assigned to a team, and do you work with them weekly, and how do you access them?
Yeah, so we early in the program, you'll have intensive meetings in short, almost speed dating like format with many of the mentors. You know, back-to-back days of meeting with a ton of mentors through, as Laura said, mutual opt-in of who's interested in pairing with whom. You'll tend to be paired with 3 to 5 so-called lead mentors who will follow you throughout the program, and those mentors we would expect you to meet with on a weekly basis. Typically one-on-ones weekly, and then maybe monthly, getting together as almost a board. The formats of that vary. And those relationships often continue for a long time thereafter. We'll also have the program surrounded with many so-called ad hoc mentors or unassigned mentors who might be experts in different areas and able to answer questions or create introduction opportunities for you as well.
Excellent. All right. How can we best update the team on pertinent updates after submitting application?
Well, so once applications come in, we go, we'll be going to work pretty quickly and around the clock to kind of select the companies that get in. We'll if you're kind of a close fit for the theme and look like you're at the right stage for an accelerator, we'll be reaching out to have some follow-up interviews with you, that'll be a great place to keep us updated through that process. So the weeks following applications ending, there'll be plenty of opportunities to directly keep us updated in those conversations, and then of course you can always email us.
Excellent. Yep, I'll put my email in the chat before we finish. Okay, let's see. This one is asking, for now, I only have an idea. It's completely tech. So the question is, do you accept international startups? Do you have to incorporate? I think we've already answered that one. And should startups have revenue? So I think there's 2 questions here. Do we accept international startups? Or there might be 3. Do we accept the idea phase? And do you have to have revenue? Those are the 3 questions.
So we're looking for companies to affect caregiving in the U.S. and so so we'll accept applications internationally, but we'd be looking for you to flip to be a U.S. entity doing business primarily in the U.S. So yes, accept applications. Really want a market focus here. The idea stage might be a little early for an accelerator because you'd be working so rapidly right from day one with mentors who want to dig into your ideas, see about getting market traction and so forth. Just being at kind of the early idea stage might not be a good fit for the work we're doing in the accelerator, but we do have an entrepreneur toolkit on our website that might be very valuable for you to think through the idea and get to the next stages on that. But pre-revenue is okay. Some traction and some attempt to have, sold your solution to someone and getting some validation or pivoting off of that is very helpful feedback to have coming in as well. So it sounds like the questioner might be a little early for accelerator, but encourage you to kind of be part of our community programs, our entrepreneur toolkit to advance your solution, and maybe do an accelerator when it's a little further along.
Great. Thank you, Keith. Okay. Question. How do you help with aligning companies with partnerships? Do you help with introductions? I think this could be partnerships, POCs, pilots.
Yeah, a bunch of ways. So there's, there are broad Techstars answer and then program specific answer. So Techstars broadly, has, a lot of companies that are interested in working with startups who we can connect to through our network. The specific mechanism of that in program is that the startup would tend to identify folks that they might want to work with. And then through their managing director of their program, we would look for the connection within Techstars that would know that company, see if it's a good fit, and try to make that introduction if it is. And we have some tools internally to figure out who the warmest lead connectors would be within our network to make those work. Within this program in particular, through our mentor base, we'll be engaging people who might have access to pilot opportunities or knowledge of pilot opportunities in the category, who can make those introductions as well. A big piece of it, though, is more and than though, is readiness to pilot is really important as well. So an introduction that you're not ready for can be a backfire for both sides. And so one of the big things we want to focus on in program is that you've got your ducks in a row to be kind of ready to do business with a large entity, and not just having multiple times at bat without the goods to be able to deliver if you land it is not helpful either. So we want to work on both sides of that in program. I don't know, Laura, if you want to add something else to that as well.
Yeah, I would also say, really, I think a lot of those opportunities will be born from the mentor conversations and relationships. And we do have some, potential corporate partners in the mentor pool. So, once you are engaging with them in Mentor Madness, you could get a sense for whether there's a path forward there.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next one. How much weight is given to recommendations from Techstars? It says, I'm assuming this means employees or mentors. So referrals.
I assume that means in the application process. Yeah, I mean, so we'll make don't hesitate to apply if you don't know anyone. So I don't want to dissuade anyone. It's not like connectedness alone is your path in. It's not it's not a limiter if you don't have that. But certainly, I mean, if you've got someone vouching for you who we both know, feel free to have them reach out. But they should really know you, right? Like so don't flood us with emails from your LinkedIn of people who don't really know you that well. But if there's a path to an investor that can vouch for you, it's always helpful. And I will say that some portion of each class is typically made up of referrals, and the reason for that isn't so much that you have a insider's edge is getting the referral. It's more that someone doing the referral knows us both, and so they know what we're looking for the program, and they know what you're doing, and so that connection is inherently likely to be valuable. It's not that their reference got you in; it's that they're it's a good match and fit that way.
Excellent. Thank you, Keith. All right. Do you help businesses identify the best exit strategy?
Eventually, accelerator stage is early to be exiting, but we do have at Techstars we have portfolio services that extend far beyond the accelerator. Actually, let me broaden the question a little bit, which is to say that the 3 months of the accelerator itself is the on-ramp to Techstars. It's not the end of your relationship with Techstars. It's the beginning of a lifelong relationship. And part of that is ongoing relationship with the managing director and the program team itself, but then also with the broader Techstars network. And we have various elements of our portfolio services at Techstars Corporate that's helping more and more companies, and we're increasing the pace of helping companies there. And that is a highly valuable service that we'll provide is, whether it be ongoing investment connection and or M&A, support and advice will be something that's available. It probably won't be a major focus of program because you're, presumably just getting launched and not thinking about exit yet. But yes, it's a service that Techstars supports and will be doing even more of in the future.
Thank you, Keith. All right. This one's for you, Laura. Did Pivotal Ventures invest directly in Join Papa or through funds?
That investment was through partners of ours through funds.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, next one. In selecting companies, how important is the tech component weighed? Are tech-enabled service companies at a disadvantage?
It's part of it's part of an overall view of like, can this team in this category, in this market, create something that can be significant, right? And so very often in startup world, technology is valued because of its ability to scale so dramatically, but that's not the only approach. Techstars does plenty of hard tech things that take a long time, and energy. We got energy tech, and we've got ship tech, and we've got services companies, and so on. So, but by all means, it's not a formula like, hey, we're just looking for tech. We're really looking for people addressing big markets that can be substantial in scale. Often tech is a part of that because of its ability to scale so readily. But it's not a determining factor. It's an outcome of what we're looking for.
Excellent. Thanks, Keith. All right. Here's a good one. Will the program address the complexity of marketing to an older population? For example, private pay versus CMS reimbursement, go-to-market strategies.
Yeah, we'll have plenty. As you might suspect, plenty of our experts and mentors will have deep expertise and understanding of that. So we're the Techstars accelerators themselves are not. They're more about the mentorship than about education. So because education is kind of widely available, right? Like you can go find that online, and so it's not like you're coming into the classroom for a lot of classes. Although we do have workshops and content. So it's not like we'll be, hitting you wall to wall with classes on how-tos for everything. There'll be some of that, but it's not overloaded. But through our mentor base, like companies that need access to that, there's going to be, abundant resources in those areas.
Excellent. Great. Good. Let's see here. This one we've already touched upon. This was about pilots and research. Do we help with partnerships and give company opportunities for pilots or research? Do you think we've sufficiently covered that one, Keith?
I think so. Yeah,
we hit it, right? Yeah. I mean, I think we've answered the vast majority of the questions. We have about 3 minutes 3 minutes left. Are there any sort of closing thoughts that you want to provide?
Laura?
Just thank you so much for your time and engagement. Like I said, we are truly taking an ecosystem approach to, providing solutions for this industry. So you're all a part of this extended network, and it's so great to hear about some of your ideas, and we look forward to hearing more about them throughout the application process. Keith?
Same. Yeah. No. Thanks for joining us, and I'm looking forward to engaging with all you. I came to Techstars because I love working with entrepreneurs and helping you out. And so whatever we can do to be supportive, let us know. There are plenty of ways to engage with us. You can go ahead and go apply for office hours on our website if you're interested. Certainly apply for the program. For those of you who are here not as founders, but as prospective mentors and investors, we'd love to engage with you as well. Feel free to reach out. I think Sarah shared her email address. Please reach out if you have an interest in the category and want to help. And one of the great ways, I say this at demo days around the world as well, at the end of program, if you're looking at helping the category and you're not a founder of a company, find one company to help, right? Like, so whether it's a company that you can help advise on how to start thinking about headed towards program, or once we pick the companies, finding a company to go jump in and support, whether it's helping them find someone for their staff, a potential customer, a potential pilot, a potential investor, pick one and dive in and support, and it would be a terrific help as well. So in any event, I appreciate y'all being here, and we look forward to engaging over the coming months and years.
Beautiful. And I've just put a barrage of links in the chat. So everything is in the chat that you should need. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We will talk to you soon. Bye.